What are you doing? Is that a wild mouse?
Yes. Is something worrying you, Father Rambazek?
I believe it's a breeding experiment.
It is a breeding experiment.
Do you really think that that's a suitable occupation for an Augustinian friar?
Ah, you feel...
I don't understand what you mean.
St. Francis spent hours on end observing the behavior of animals. He never felt the kind of disgust they seem to inspire in you.
Don't try to reduce it to a matter of personal preferences. You know it's more fundamental than that. There are those of us who believe that this monastery was built as a house of prayer and worship to the glory of God and should confine itself to that. Some people are trying to degrade it into a kind of imitation of a secular university.
Really? In which of those factions would you place Father Abbot?
My only criticism of the Abbot is that he's too weak. He tries to please both sides.
I doubt that he sees them as incompatible. But there's nothing particularly un-Christian about the hunger for knowledge. And now, if you don't mind...
You know how strongly the bishop feels about these things?
Yes.
And you're ignoring his wishes?
It's about nothing.
Then I regard it as my duty to report this.
I know nobody who gets more satisfaction out of doing his duty.
And Jacob supreme the rods of poplar and of almond and of bay tree, and peeled them in parts. So when the bark was taken off in the parts that were peeled, there appeared whiteness, but the parts that were whole remained green, and by this means their colour was divers. And he put them in the troughs where the water was poured out, that when the flock should come to drink, they might have the rods before their eyes, and in the sight of them might conceive. And it came to pass that in the very heat of coition, the sheep beheld the rods, and brought forth spotted and of dun. And Jacob separated the flock, and put the rods in the troughs before the eyes of the rams, and all the white and the black were Laban's, and the rest were Jacob's, when the flocks were separated one from the other.
All I'm saying is, you can't produce striped lambs by putting up white sticks in front of the ewes.
Have you ever tried?
Look, it's nonsense.
It's like saying if men and women make love in a cornfield, their children will have yellow hair.
You seem to be close to denying the truth of Holy Writ.
No, Father Rambazek, you never said that.
I never said Jacob didn't peel those sticks. I didn't say his sheep didn't have speckled lambs.
I'm only saying that if they did, it was either coincidence or divine intervention. Perhaps God made a miracle for him. Or would you call that heresy to say it was a miracle?
Perhaps not heresy, but I would call it sophistry. I'm quite sure the bishop wouldn't appreciate your fine distinctions.
No, I don't suppose he would.
Yes, much better than last year. You see, all the muscadines have taken beautiful trees of the sty varieties.
They might do better with a whip and tongue graft.
Yes, or raise them from seed.
Yes. Then we could good new variety like
Arrange, and they fetch a good price. So, it's tomorrow.
should get back on Wednesday after Compline.
How do you feel about your exam?
He should pass. He's worked hard enough.
I saw your headmaster last week. He says even if you don't get your teacher's certificate, he'd be very happy to keep you on supply.
Did he?
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Sit down, please, Father Gregor. I've had a visit from the bishop. Apparently he's heard some reports about you, which he finds disturbing. It's the experiments that worry him.
If he'd been brought up on a farm, Father Abbot, he'd know that selective breeding's been going on for thousands of years. Father Keller is out there crossbreeding, interfering with God's purpose. Father Klatzel's doing experiments in hybridization. You even gave him a special plot where he could carry them out.
Yes. But it's the idea of animals that seems to bother the bishop.
He's not very logical, is he? Why does he think God is happy for man to breed a hybrid fruit, but angry if he breeds a mule?
You know it's not a question of logic, Gregor. Let me explain my position. I personally don't agree with the position. Research and scholarship in science, no less than in theology, literature, or music. Over important questions, such as his proposal to restrict the teaching of natural history at the Philosophical Institute. I fought hard over that. It was 7 years before he gave in.
This is... You once said so yourself.
And I still say so. And if you can assure me that the mice can teach you things you can discover in no other way, I'll defend your right to breed them. In political climate, I prefer to avoid a clash if there's a tack out of it. That the basic mechanism of heredity, which is what you're searching for, must operate in very much the same way in both animals and plants.
I'll stick to plants from now on.
Thank you, my son. And now to a different matter. About that examination. I've had a letter from one of the examiners, Professor Baumgartner. Very pleased with your geology type. Let me see. He writes simply, plainly, and clearly. His method orderly and lucid. It is plain, as he is devoid neither of industry nor of talent, but it would seem that he must have lacked access to the necessary means of study. He advises me to send you to study.
The university? Is that possible?
Why not? I know it wouldn't be easy. You'd be several years older than the other students. But you'd be learning physics, Doppler, biology, from mathematics there now. But I know you'd do well and be a credit to St. Thomas's.
Look, let's wait till next time. Please see your slides are all labeled before you put them away. Good, accurate work, Mr. Narve. Handwriting needs improvement. This was a...
Didn't read.
What? Mendel.
Isn't it? I had a good teacher, too. Father Schreiber.
Activity now.
Diebel was my teacher. Knapp is our abbot at St. Thomas's Abbey.
Right. Well, now, before you start experimenting, you must fill in on your reading. There's no point in covering ground others have references. I see you quoted Gärtner, quite the best monograph on plant hybridization, but there were also Seton and Goss, some of the spade work. Schleiden's masterpiece, scientific, especially his explanation of the origin of the embryo. Oh, and, Unger, last year. I'll lend you a copy.
may have got away, but there's a rumor he's been arrested. Have you heard about Uma? He's in hot water now.
Surely not. What's he ever done to upset anybody? I mean, he's not as if...
Is it Professor Franz Unger you were talking about?
That's right.
Why do you want to know? Why did he die?
I don't either. What's wrong with that?
What it's like in the provinces. You don't admit anything. The government have been scared. Over. They're searching people.
What have you done with the pamphlets?
2 streets away.
We misjudged him, Carl.
Yeah. Considering what?
Considering you're a priest. Considering you're of German stock.
Rubbish. Anyway, it's border country I come from. Hardly anybody's a pure-blooded anything there. All right. Some hybrids are very tough specimens, remember? I'll tell you something else, too. You talk a lot in here about feudalism. How much do you know about peasants? Speak in the landlord's fields for nothing? Well, I've done it many a time. My father told, but you people don't know you're born. Have you ever established your...
For a priest, you made quite an impression on Unger.
Brilliant, isn't he? I'm just beginning to realize how much I didn't know. Like seeing a new world opening up.
Look, you know this controversy about the fertilization process in plants?
Yes. I can't believe it's just the pollen tube.
I agree. And what's more, I think I can prove that fertilization in plants requires only one pollen grain. You take a female germ cell and just one, you can watch it under a microscope develop into a totally independent organism.
You've...
But it's not just me who's done it, others have done it too.
But you must write it up.
I will, soon.
Monk. Just a sheer stroke of luck. I certainly did. I was sick and tired of being cold and hungry all the time. Looking for tutoring jobs, couldn't find them. No money. I was getting really ill. And then a chance of getting into St. Thomas's. Nothing to pay. Nice warm bed. All the food you can eat, all the books you can read. Lovely music. Well, of course, I jumped at it.
Were you on your own then?
I was on my own from 16. My brother-in-law took over the farm. My father had no money. My little sister even sent me her dowry money. That kept me going for a little while.
Now, that's what I call a sacrifice. Wasn't she afraid of ending up a spinster?
Well, she isn't going to. Next week is her wedding, and I am going home.
So, it's got to be cells. All that old stuff about the life force was just...
Didn't mean anything.
So, a male cell and a female.
Now, that's been proved. And the 2 cells make equal contributions. We know that from Kohlreuter. He was first. Cell transmitting the pattern and the egg cell just nourishing it. Both contribute.
Yes, it's equal. Right then. They've got these 2 cells.
No, wait a minute. Let's see it in terms of chemistry. Whatever it is that transmits heredity, it doesn't behave like a liquid. It behaves like particles. And it's not like a compound, it's more like a mixture. And suppose you've got 2 lots of separate solid particles, say like sand and sugar. Well, you can mix them together, but they don't combine. It can go on down the generations. It can get covered up, but it's still there. It can come back.
I don't see it. Where are these particles you're talking about?
Inside the cell. They must be. Some kind of units. Inside the cell.
I can't picture that.
Well, it's like... Here you are.
Well, botanical monk claims sex is like the rosary.
So, in any single cell, you've got a whole cluster of particles. And then, let's suppose you could separate them out. Like that. They'd each stand for different things. Let's suppose this one says tall, and this one says early blooming, and this one says white petal.
Fertilized.
Together. Short. Red petals, late. Either short or tall it's got to stand down. But what decides which it'll be?
Chance?
No.
There are rules to govern it, or what?
Well, that's the whole problem, isn't it?
Well, it'll have to wait now till after the exams. Are you ready for the Viva?
Well, I should be all right this time. The great thing is, Unger will be there. I know the sort of...
Are you sure he's going to be there?
Hmm?
Someone told me he was going off to a lecture in Paris.
Yes, Professor Mendel.
You don't seem to be abreast of the latest developments. You take no account of the theories of Professor Schleiden.
Sir, I'm very close.
You cannot agree with him, challenging his facts.
No. I think he was misinterpreting them. I accept, of course, that the pollen... But that of itself doesn't prove that the sac is merely an incubator. Unger showed us. That is to say, I thought.
It would be more accurate to say that there are some people who are slow to accept a scientific truth, even when it's revealed to them. As for this last section of yours, you seem to have taken off into the realm of fantasy. Pure speculation. Who is your authority for all this?
Many people. Hofmeister, for example. But I was also advancing a hypothesis of my own. I gave my reasons. Are you sure you've read it all through? Excuse me, but I think you must have missed out pages 8 and 9. Crucial if you want to follow the argument. You see where I've listed...
Mr. Mendel, kindly resume your seat.
Sorry. Yes, of course. I'm sorry, sir.
Have you seen Father Gregor?
No, Father.
Are you looking for something?
Yes. What's going on here? This shelf used to be full of...
Hey, quite a while.
There were 4 volumes of Zoonomia by Erasmus Darwin.
I was asked to recatalogue the library, and I...
What have you done?
Are you aware that those books
Preclude me from reading them?
I'm keeping the index. It may help to remind us that they're in a special category. I understand that you are resuming your position at the school as supply teacher. If you absorb too many heretical ideas, some of them may get passed on, not deliberately, perhaps, and corrupt the minds of the young.
Things are part of great design.
Well, ultimately. But it would be too easy to blame all the mistakes we make on the will of God. I could kick myself now. I could have passed even without that paper.
But what do you regret most about having failed?
Father Abbot, I'm afraid of losing my teaching job. My sister needs a great struggle these days. Failure. I owe her a debt of honor.
Gregor, you were always so full of hope. You put hard. That experimental plot that counsel handed over to him. Well, nothing yet. He's been waiting for your return. Hints that it may
not do that.
Well, no one else will be near it since your return. Lost interest or run out of ideas.
Run out of ideas. Just before the exam, way of approaching the problem. What problem, of course? The one you challenged us to solve.
And are you working on it?
I can't. It's hopeless. It needs a mathematical approach. It's to do with the mathematics of probability, and you can't see that on a small scale. You'd need masses and masses of... I couldn't do that.
Well, but what?
Get that? I mean, no point in...
Gregor, I... pull you out of that slide.
This is the beauty of peas. Once I breed true, I can run 6 or 8 experiments side by side. Here, and here. Axial flowers and terminal flowers. Do you see? Let's cross this short plant with a tool. About peas, the reproductive parts are inside this little pot bar. Still be closed, and you must check that the anthers haven't yet shed their pollen. Now, remove the 10 stamens. That's to prevent self-pollination, of course. So we've got... This looks good. Anthers should have shed their pollen. There. Now, just dust. But there must be cold sober.
If you say so, Father. Was that it then?
Not quite. Or a weevil or even the wind. So we've got to stop that from happening. At least until the seeds have set.
Better get a first while he's in town.
Guess who this is? You've heard me talk of Johann Nav here in...
Delighted to meet you. I've only been here a month, but I've heard several people singing your praises.
I hope you're finding our town to your liking, Mr. Navi.
I hope so, too. Otherwise, he'll set about changing it right away. He's that sort of fellow.
Good, we can do
change. That meeting of the natural science. Cautious. Who's running that thing, Gregor?
It's a section of the full body. It does some good practical work. Abbot Knapp is on the committee, actually.
Who runs it?
The landowners?
I thought so. One of our own. Less mealy-mouthed. Really scientific. What do you say?
I say it's high time.
Mr. Taverdi, you're a man after my own heart.
I've got it all worked out, Johann. I'll be doing one room for doubt. I know exactly what happens. I was right about the separate particles. And it's quite true that when they come together in the progeny, they don't fuse. They don't have generation. They separate out again. Cross a plant with a yellow seed color and a round seed shape with a plant and wrinkled seed shape. Yellow seed generation, they seem to combine at random. You get all possible combinations. But I can predict it, Johann. Given a big to simple, so you get 9 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these, and 1 of these. Anyone can do it and get the same result. No one will be able to challenge it.
When are you going to publish?
Publish?
It's revolutionary. What you must do is write a paper and read it to the Natural Science Society. Stagger them.
I'm not ready yet. I need 1 more seed count. Come on, I'll show you. Without your friendship and guidance, I could never have got this far.
Father Gregor, the impression when we're counting like this.
Yes?
You?
I've got a pretty good idea. So, no good. Got to be able to prove it beyond doubt.
Plain shriveled.
Oh dear. Them out. Well, a proper question.
No, I'm sorry, Father.
Even those who are acquainted with the magnitude of the task it has taken, quite the most diverse form become available, but the precise new as being highly significant.
Thank you, Mr. Mendel. Piece of research. Any questions on point? No, Mr. Mendel is prepared. Professor Makovsky.
We discussed Darwin's Origin of Species. Brilliant man for Mendel. Oh.
In using that phrase, I'm in no way implying I were asked. He says He was dealing with something more elementary, by which they are passed on. But
the thing is, next year, the society will be sent abroad.
good night, yeah.
He wants to be a doctor. Tried to tell him he can't. Road.
I did think so.
I think you've done very well. A credit to all of
you.
Sorry.
Just sent it to Professor. I thought he would. Don't think he ever read it. He always takes money. I'd made a promising, and he advised me to persevere.
What the man says, then, Johann.
Records of nearly 13,000 individuals, what I set out to prove at the beginning. Come on. The Abbot is very ill. It's only a matter of time. Depends on... It won't be me. Father now don't want to kill. Perhaps that's what I should have been aiming at all along. Cultivating piety instead of peace. Have you seen this Brother Clement boy's worships?
You'll be able to do it now.
Ordinary feeling. Have you Prelate Mendel?
Studying hard for his anatomy exam. He sends you his love.
There'll be no holding fine. My son, the doctor.
Outrank, my... You know, she tells us tales of... She thinks you do too much.
There are all the estates to administer. Honorary functions, committee meetings. Supervising, budgeting. And I'm not an administrator, Alois.
Heredity paper.
My time. People will see it one day. It doesn't...
To come here.
You spoke to the doctor. And kidneys, isn't it? No. In order.
Are those the last, Father Clement? Important. No, I hardly think. Take them away.
Bonfire. And mankind a most noble character. Natural, every was spent. Father Mendel displayed a special way of thinking to lifeless words, but efficaciously intervened at each opportunity in the act on the breeding of fruit trees, flowers. Hybridization were no less than